बोलिए सद्गुरुदेव महाराज की जय। बाबा भूमन शाह महाराज की जय। श्री चंद्र भगवान की जय। सच्चिदानंद भगवान की जय। Hariom to all. We hope and pray that all the family members of Gurudev's family are well in the midst of Corona. And here in ashram also, Puja Gurudev is well, all the ashramites are well, and all these monks, they take very good care of Guruji and they serve him day and night. I would like to clarify, because the problem of Corona, COVID-19 is still persisting. So as of now, up to 31st August, the ashram remains closed. And since it is on the increase in India, we don't know what it will be. Maybe we might have to extend it. We feel very sorry that you are not able to come. We miss you as much as you miss Gurudev and the ashram. Well, that is how God has wished this time for this world. His scheme is like that. Day after tomorrow, on the 5th July, the auspicious day, the holy day of Guru Purnima falls. We will be missing all of you, but as I said, we all are helpless. We will celebrate it like any other year. We will do Havan, Aartis, a small Bhandara of all the people who are quarantined within the ashram campus since its outbreak. So we will celebrate in a very simple way. Many devotees celebrate in their homes who are not able to come. So I wish that you enjoy this day. May it awaken deep gratitude in all hearts, in our hearts, for the kindness, for the infinite graces and gifts that we have received from our Master throughout our life. And most of the gifts we don't know, and just a tip of the iceberg we know what he has given us. Guru Purnima is the full moon day of the Ashad month of Hinduism, the rainy season, and it is also celebrated, it is also called Vyas Puja. Veda Vyas has been a legendary figure in India, and he is considered the father of all scriptural knowledge in India. And because he was completely conversant with the Vedas, that is why he is called a Veda Vyas, that who was through and through the Vedas, Veda Vyas. And he has written uncountable number of the scriptures. He is the author of the Brahma Sutras, Puranas. It is on his Brahma Sutras that the great Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya and the other great masters have written their commentaries upon. So he is the father figure, and as a representative of all the institution of Guru and disciple, we call it with Vyas Purnima. On this day, it is a very typical of the Indian culture. Guru Puja is not the teacher's day. Teacher is the one from whom we learn something. Anything, from mathematics to music, astronomy, whatever. Guru is the one who does not teach but who transforms spiritually. So it is much more than a teacher. You can call it a Father's Day, a Mother's Day, and a God's Day, all combined, rolled into one, and as well as Teacher's Day. On this day, there are thousands of bhandaras all across India in all the ashrams, and the beauty is that the Guru is not a single person. All the devotees are free to have their Gurus and to express the outpour their love for their respective Gurus. We know how emotionally and deeply we are attached to our Gurus. It is same with the others. And it is because the same God, the same one without a second divine is present in all the Gurus. So when we worship our Gurus, when we express our devotion for our Guru, it is in fact a devotion to God, not a personal Guru. Of course, because we are limited in the body and mind, so our prayers have to be addressed to a person. So he is to us physical also, mental also, and spiritual also. He is our mentor and our mother and father in all the senses. Once I remember, to a question asked, Guruji had replied that Guru is that principle, that universal principle which evolves the soul spiritually. If we cooperate with it, it helps us, it hastens our spiritual journey, it uplifts us. It is so any Guru in the body, a living Guru, represents that principle. That is why it is so sacred. You will be surprised that in one of the most beautiful hymns in the praise of Guru, they are addressed to Guru in its nirgun transcendental form rather than physical. The one that I often recite, Om Brahmanandam Paramasukhatam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Lakshayam Ekam Nityam Vimalam Machalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Triguna-rahitam Sadguram Tannamami. That I bow to the Master, to my Sadguru, who is divine bliss, the supreme bliss, and who is the embodiment of knowledge. Nay, he is pure awareness, because of which all the relative knowledge becomes possible. Dvandvatitam, he is beyond all the pairs. He is absolute. He is divisible and undivided like this infinite space. And he is beyond the 5 great elements of earth, water, air, fire, and the ether. Lakshya means he is the object of even them. He is primary to even them. He precedes even them. The great 5 elements. तीसरा क्या है? Ekam Nityam Vimalam Achalam. He is one without a second. He is eternal, immortal. And he is absolute purity. What can be an absolute purity? Whenever the mixture is not a purity, when that thing abides in itself without it being mixed with any other thing, it is called absolute purity. When there is no water in the milk, it is pure milk. When there is no water, there is no milk in the water, we call it pure water. So it means that God is non-dual and there is nothing but only God. That is what it means. Achalam, he is everywhere and he doesn't move. Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam. He is the seer of the minds of all beings. He knows all. He is omniscient. He is the uninvolved knower of all what goes on in the minds of all beings. Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam. Bhavatitam Triguna Rahitam. He is beyond the emotions, beyond pranas, beyond the bhavas, feelings. Bhavatitam Gagana Sadrisham. He is infinite like sky. Bhavatitam Triguna Rahitam Sadguram Tan Nimami. I bow down to my master who is such. So these are the attributes of the transcendental reality, not a person. So this is Guru. From the point of view of the Gyan Marg and from the point of view of devotion, as a personal God also he is referred. So it is said that, O Lord, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. It means he is none other than the personal God also in his different all aspects. Creator, sustainer, destroyer. Once long back, I was speaking with Guruji and I asked if suppose some Guru doesn't have a sattvic habit. There are many cultures, many areas in the world. So how, why should, because in our mind there is a classical picture of the Guru also. He says, yes, you should feel joy in the presence of the Guru. But if you see anything tamoguni, then see that he is Shiva. If you feel satoguni, he is Vishnu. If there is a rajoguni, identify him with Brahma, who creates all the creation. But he remains God. Because this manifestation happens because of the interplay of the gunas. So and when you are into the gunas, there can be little up and down of the rajogun, tamogun and satogun. What does this day is very precious for we, the disciple. I congratulate all the devotees thousand times for this happy day that falls a day after. May we receive His grace to awaken in our mind, to reawaken and regenerate in our mind our commitments to be solidly on our spiritual path. May we grow in tolerance, patience, selfless service. May we get the energy and the power to accept whatever God brings us with great joy, with a sense of huge gratitude to whatever we receive in our lives, in His love. For may we be indifferent to whatever God gives us. Because the aim of our life is nothing less than God. So all other things, whether favorable or unfavorable, they count nothing in our lives. We just wish to receive the grace of the Guru and God in our lives. That is the most precious thing. All other things like health, business, honor, dishonor, and all such things, they count nothing. Wherever He keeps us, may our body move only, but not our commitment, not our resolve to realize the divine. I may remember on this day the main teachings of Guruji. The teachings of all the sages are same. But when it comes from our own master, they become alive. They acquire new meaning for us. There is no relation in the world which is purer, more selfless, more precious than the relationship between the Guru and the disciple. It is the relationship which is based from the side of the disciple. There is impurity in this relation, because we love the Guru because of our lacunas, our imperfections. From there, the urge to love him, to relate to him, arises in our hearts. But from him, it is coming from the perfection, fulfillment. It is the outpouring of his fulfillment that flows towards the disciple. So, the love of the Guru is pure and perfect, and love of the disciple is always impure and imperfect, because it arises from the sense of missing. Even then, it is a million times more precious and pure than any other relationship in the world. You see the nature of a relationship, it should not be called even relationship. We are one with God, and when we realize, we find it missing in our lives, and when we awaken to it, then this relationship is born in the form of a living Guru and a disciple. And this relationship helps to reduce that gap between our Father and us, by and by and by. Our Gurudev, all his life was in silence. He did not speak. He spoke through his being. He communicated through his what he was. He spoke love. He spoke upliftment. He spoke living example through what he was or he is to us. So his teachings are small and simple, consistent with the scriptures and the great masters. When he started speaking in 2017, then he told certain things, he repeated them time and again. They were that you are potentially divine. The aim of every human being is to realize divine, to merge in God. The main means of God realization are selfless service and Simran, God remembrance. He says that God is so huge, it is not quantitatively huge, it is simply infinite. Upanishads say that He is the smallest amongst the small and biggest amongst the big. The infinity moves in two directions. It is very, very huge and it is very, very small. They both are the glories of God. And He is so small that He is almost not. From the point of view of manifestation. So, such a God who is infinite and whom we can't comprehend through our mind, He is not achieved or attained through any means. He always emphasized us that God realization is not the product of any doing. Because whatever we do, how small are we? Even if we meditate 24 hours a day with 1000% concentration, it is nothing in comparison to what we are aspiring to realize. It is infinite. We are less than nothing. And He is more than everything. He is transcendental and He is immanent in all. So he says God realization happens as a result of remembrance. That is one of the very fundamental teachings of Guruji. It is through the remembrance Simran that you realize God. So there are two ways to Simran God. One, you sit in the asana at least twice a day, in the morning and evening. That is the minimum. And you remember Him through that technique which your Guru has told you. So whatever the technique has been given to us by our Guru, and we remember God, and any symbol, any name, because He is all inclusive, so we can realize Him through any name and every name, through any form, through any bhava or feeling, because He is present in all. यदा प्रवृत्तिर्भूतानाम येन सर्वमिदं ततं स्वकर्मणा तमभ्यर्च्य सिद्धिं विन्दति मानवः. He says that He is filled with each and every pore of this universe. So whatever you do, you can realize God through your own, whatever you do through that. So the second part is, in the sitting in meditation is like the professional approach to God realization. Because we are very busy, so we say we don't have time. So Gurudev says that when you are not meditating, let that all time also be the time of your sadhana. It is called Karma Yoga. Since God is the managing director, the owner, the chief executive, and all in all of this universe, so any activity done by any person in this world actually is supposed to be done for him. The worldly persons, if I work in an organization or in a business shop or wherever, the immediately someone may be, for a practical point of view, it may be honor, I may be having a boss, but God is the ultimate boss. The world belongs to Him. So we can offer whatever we do. I often say it, there is a verse in in Gita Ji which beautifully expounds it. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yat juhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. So to Arjun, Lord Krishna says, whatever you eat, whatever you do, whatever charity you do, it means whatever ordinary activities and what are the special activities, opening schools, helping the people, and whatever the rituals you do, holy fire, whatever you eat, all consecrate to me. I am the ultimate, everything must be done only for me. So I was thinking 2 days back, just, I'm giving you an example. It had been 1 month and I was to cut my nails, especially of the feet. So at that time I says, oh Lord, I am cutting my nails in your love. Let me love you through this, because this body is yours, this world. So I am cutting my nails so that I feel okay, I feel smart, happy, and you also feel good about, because I am feeling good. Let you also feel good because I am feeling good. So you have to be an artist to connect your every insignificant activity. I also say one thing which is the fallout of all this. In the great book, the brother Lawrence, he used to pick up the leaves. When he used to clean the place, he used to work in the kitchen. So he used to pick up the leaves in the love of God. He used to clean the place in the love of God. So you can take bath in the love of God. You can take a walk in the love of God. You can make a shave in the love of God. Or you can grow the hair in the love of God. But whatever activity, and the beauty is, because God does not want anything, He can accept anything. If He were missing something, He would be pleased only if we offered Him that thing which He is missing. But since He is eternal, absolute bliss, absolute knowledge, absolute awareness, what is the purpose of all activities? Bliss, joy, and knowledge. He is already absolute bliss, already absolute awareness. He does not need anything. So when some big person doesn't need anything, the best you can offer him is humility and a smile and maybe a flower of a rose flower. That's all. You can't take golds and jewels to him to impress him. So the best flowers to be offered to God are our arrogance. We have to be humble before him. We have to accept that we are very small, and we have to learn the art when we are not meditating. Let us wash the clothes, do the cooking in his love, in the ultimate sense, and we can do it. I remember Muskan had for years, maybe it is still there, it was written on a slip from Gurudev on her computer, that before you start anything, pray to God, offer it to God. The trick is, the way is not a trick, that all our activities are the small units. Suppose from the day to the evening, I have a small units of work. Editing a song, reading a book, translation, taking bath, taking a morning walk, doing work with Bimla ji, taking care of the cat, giving it food at the right time, so many things. So before every activity, our attention should go, just let me offer this piece of activity to you. Then that sense of surrender and remembrance will keep on playing like the Tanpura when I sing the song. It is always, you hardly notice the Tanpura, but all your melody, your sweetness, your harmony is based on that, the Tanpura. Did you notice it? It is the Tanpura that gives you the base. So that Tanpura must be that, and it will be possible only when we have a deep, unshakable faith that there is God. I have an organic relationship with him. I am his part, I am his son or daughter. And the aim of my life is to go back to him. It is my most natural, fundamental, radical responsibility to go back to my father and meet him. All other, Guruji has also a great phrase which he used. God is the goal of all other goals. God, Bhagwan, सब लक्ष्यों के भी लक्ष्य हैं. So while we may be intermediate goals, to be healthy, to learn yoga, yogasana, singing, meet people, be important, but the ultimate aim is that all those goals must become the means to the greatest and the highest goal of God realization. That is, so when we are not meditating and are conducting ourselves in the spirit of what is called Karma Yoga, that when we are doing all our activities most sincerely, with enthusiasm, not with laziness, but without expecting the fruits of our karma, and ultimately trying to do it with the spirit that it is being offered to God, all these bhavanas, feelings together, they constitute what is called Karma Yoga. There are beautiful shlokas in Gita ji about that. Beautiful. So, what is the impact of the Karma Yoga? I said in the beginning, Guruji says that God is realized through remembrance. So, in meditation, you are directly remembering Him, and while doing the action, you are remembering God through activities. There also, and through these activities also, we can realize God. So, since we cannot do without doing, we must do our activities, we must deal with the world. So, we have to learn the skill. But we have to learn more the skill of Karma Yoga, because we meditate so little and we are dealing with the world so much. So we need more this art. And they both complement each other. The better we meditate, the better we deal with the world. The better we deal with the world in a very relaxed way, indifferent way, without caring for its fruits, the better meditation is there. Because what is the greatest impediment in meditation? Distraction of mind. Those of the thoughts come which we love, to which the thoughts we are attached to. Say they stop assailing us if we have conducted ourselves rightly during the day. And the two predominant things which Gurudev says they help and enhance our spiritual life are: one is Vivek, spiritual discrimination. Every time we have to select between this and that. If we have a Guru, we have to follow his orders. For his very close disciples, Guru has a great freedom to twist them the way he wants. To the general people, he gives general instructions. To us, he has a freedom. He can take all liberties with us. He can take our lives also if he wants. We should be ready. We have surrendered ourselves to him. He has complete control on our lives. So, otherwise, generally, Vivek should be our Guru. We are away from the Guru, physical Guru. So what is right and wrong? Enlightened spiritual discrimination. Choosing the things in the light of the enlightened discrimination, spiritual discrimination. Choosing the things with the perspective whether it will be helpful in my spiritual life or not is what is called discrimination. And then Vairagya, dispassion. Gurudev's standard definition is: dispassion means detachment from whatever is transient, passing, everything. So, dispassion is the natural fruit, is the ripening of the Vivek. When we see the world closely, deeply, we generate detachment from it. The purpose of the relationships is that we develop detachment and we are able to love others unconditionally. The relationships should help us in evolving spiritually. That is their purpose. If we become entangled in the relationship with our sense of rights and entitlements, we'll lose the purpose of the relationships. Relationships are the mirror of where do we stand vis-a-vis our love of God. So while we should fulfill our duties most enthusiastically, we should give our heart, reserve it for God only. So Vairagya means, also Gurudev says, Vairagya does not mean turning away from our duties, but there should be a deep, holy indifference towards the fruits of what we do. There is a beautiful shloka in Gita ji. Mukta sango nahangvadi dhrityutsaha samanvitaha siddhi siddhyo nirvikaraha karta sattvika uchyate. Krishna says, who is the right doer in this world? Whom shall we call an ideal doer? He says, who is not attached to the fruits of his actions, who does his actions with enthusiasm, with passion, but without, so he has an aim, he has a goal, but he is not concerned whether he is able to hit the goal or not. He is not attached to the fruits, but he is full of enthusiasm. He has no ego, who is equanimous whether he succeeds or fails. Such a karta, doer, is called a sattvic karta. So these four, Vivek, Vairagya, daily Simran and practice of Karma Yoga in our daily, these are the core of Guruji's teachings. These four things. And these things he was repeating daily almost. I want also, I should have focused more on today, rather than the teaching, what should be our bhava towards the Guru. Because that day, this day, calls for that, Guru Purnima. So our bhav should be that we are infinitely grateful to God, who has taken the form in the form of Guru, and who has taken us out of an ocean which is bigger than Pacific Ocean, of desires, aversions, temptations, distractions, and has opened our eyes with great love and patience to the truth which is divine and eternal, and who has put us on that path, and not only put, without our being aware of it, who is helping us every step. And when we are not able to take step without our being aware of us, he is carrying us in his hands, and when we are able to walk, he puts us on the ground to enable us to walk our path. So there is no other act of charity and generosity greater than that of Guru towards the disciple. We would be beasts but for his love. We would be mired in the worldliness, always talking of our rights and entitlements, trying to preserve our youth and physical body forever, trying to become immortal, loving the glitter and the frivolities and vanities of this life, who taught us the art of being simple and focused on God. It is a miracle that a person is able to make God as the aim of his life in the midst of this infinite distractions. It is the greatest miracle that a person turns a spiritual sadhak. There is no end to the distractions, infinite distractions. And not only that he is awakened, so the Guru Purnima is not just a teacher's day. There is no equivalent of its translation. Guru Purnima means Guru Purnima, and it is the full moon day signifying fulfillment of the Master, of the divine perfection in him. That's what we seek. So we seek to outpour our hearts of our deep gratitude and to express our deep inability to express our gratitude towards him for what he has given us and for what in his infinite kindness he has not given us. He has given us more than we deserve. May he grace us that we become worthy of his disciple. Our sadhana is not the price of God realization. It is simply a sign of our sincerity and our love towards God. And lastly, as every person is a center of impact or influence which he radiates all around him or herself, a guru is also a gigantic center of spiritual impact. Generally, it impacts all, but specifically it impacts his disciples who have a special relationship with him. In that sense, he is partisan. He chooses and picks. So his disciples have his special grace while all others have his general grace. So we are proud to be his disciples. We have this sacred pride in us to be his disciple, so that because we are the recipients of his special grace, his protection, God takes a special form so that he is addressable. We can point out towards him. It is because of the limitation in us that God comes in a person. The limitation is not in God, it is in us. So he becomes limited for the sake of us. For that we express the gratitude. And we express the gratitude that we have been put firmly on the path divine, whatever time it takes, whether the ups comes, the downs come, we don't care for it. Every fall strengthens our spiritual muscles, and every success fills us with joy and gives us also new strength. So for all this, we express our gratitude to Him. So may we have strength to offer all that we have, all what God has given to us at His feet, and may we get strength to follow His teachings more sincerely. Again, many happy returns of the day that is to come a day after Guru Purnima, and congratulations for all of us. Please celebrate it, enjoy it, make halwa or whatever sweets you want to make, and follow social distancing, but let us celebrate it in its true spirit. Hari Om. हाँ, इसको भी करना अभी. I also want to tell you about Guruji. He is fine. He is coming in the meditation in the morning, in the evening, eating with us lunch, going to the deer cows. He talks to the cows and feeds them. But for his age, he is very good. But yes, he has become little weak for the last few months. So he loves to come, and he has become childlike. The memories also, it was already visible, so it has become a little more less. But it is completely understandable. He is very cheerful, joyful, childlike, and he loves to come while feeding the cows from Goshala in the evening at 5 o'clock. He comes on the wheelchair and he enjoys it like a child. But he is good, he is happy, all his vital parameters, blood pressure, lipid profiles, liver functions, renal functions, CBC, everything is fine. And all the monks that are sitting here, they do extraordinary loving seva to him, all who are sitting here. I do the least. बोले सतगुरुदेव महाराज की, बाबा भूमन शाह महाराज की, श्री चंद्र भगवान की, सच्चिदानंद भगवान की जय.